So today, Hayden's busy working. He wants to go over with this poly flap disc first. I don't really understand what it does, personally. But he won't let me use this because it doesn't have a safety guard on it. And fair enough, I don't really want to lose my fingers. So he's already done this section. So my task today is I'm going to sand it with the roughest sanding paper. 120 grit sandpaper, and then if I happen to be really speedy, I can jump to the 240. So we'll just see how I go. I'm going to flip the caravan around so I'm working in the shade. The caravan's so light, so easy to spin it around like that. His earmuffs, and we've got some of these as well. Safety first, right? I should put this on first. I don't even know how to turn it on. 6 minutes and I think the battery's already run out. So I didn't get far. Am I doing it right? I've never really sanded with something like that before. But you can see, I think I'll have to go over it quite a lot because there you can see nicks, and I've heard this first layer you want to do really well, because if you miss a scratch you're going to have to go back and start right from the scratch again. So it seems pretty important to get this first layer right before you progress. So this is where the light used to be. The other battery is charged enough that I can carry on. Whew! Otherwise it's going to be the shortest caravan renovation day for me. I think there's still a lot to do because there's a lot of nicks around here, around here. I'm just going to borrow the steps into my caravan, my UK caravan, just so I can sit down nicely and carry on doing the bottom part. And then I might get a new sandpaper disc and go over it all again, because I think it's nowhere near at the right level. Might take a while. So I've got the paint down to this point, and I'll put another layer of that paint stripper on. I figured the battery for the grinder will have charged by now, so I might jump over there. And a huge thank you to Robert, Ian and Drew, who bought some sanding discs from my wish list. A huge thank you, guys. And it's run out of battery. And the edges are kind of gone. So it might be time for another one, really. Well, I'm learning that the batteries don't last at all long on that sander. Maybe 6 to 10 minutes each battery. And I haven't even mentioned, this is my shower at the moment. It's very open. Back to nature. So Hayden's kind of rigged it up so it works with gas, has a little shower head, and it's strapped onto the ground. So it might look really basic, but I actually really like the shower. It's got good pressure, plenty of space, and a lot of access to water, so I just don't have to think about having a quick shower and am I going to run out of water halfway through, and simple, but it works. It does. So Hayden's been able to get the safety guard on this for me, so I'm going to give it a go. It's the first time I used that machine. It was interesting. I've learnt that I have no arm muscles, so I think by the end of this project I'll finally actually have some arm muscles. So I had to have lots of breaks just to kind of recover at a certain angle. It's not looking quite as nice as the first one that Hayden had done the base and then I did the first one. Wondering, I might need to change the 120 grit sandpaper and give it another going over maybe? Maybe? So I actually had a day to recover. Weather forecast wasn't good, plus I'm just not used to all this physical exercise, arm exercise, so I had a day to kind of recover from it all. But back onto it, there's plenty to do. This is the third one of these that I'm onto. You would have seen in the footage the difference between, yeah, the last one became basically a shiny pad and there was nothing left, and it made swapping to the new one made such a difference. So it looks like it's about 3 of those pads just for this little one side area. That's good to know, good to know. Just having a think about these. So I'm gonna take out those rivets at least, maybe those, just so that this part can be super smooth. It seems like there's a lot of awning buttons everywhere, all over the side of the caravan, so we're just going to take off the ones in the silver area, so there's still one to take out on this other side. It's not the smoothest aluminium. There's going to be, I'm going to have to cover lots of holes with rivets, or I don't know. While I was working on where the door handle was, I was kind of wondering what to do about possibly the extra couple of holes that's going to be there. So I wish I'd caught the first go on camera. Hayden tried this, turns out it was too powerful, and
for the grinder,
and bits of foam were flying off in all directions. It was oh, I wish I had the camera going for that part. 400
I'm glad
stage.
you didn't.
The 400 stage has to be on the drill, which looks quite tricky. Hayden's just jumping ahead of my system, so that was the only corner I'd managed to do the 240 grit sandpaper. So he just was curious to see what the 400 sandpaper would be like.
Foam
marks.
Foam marks.
And the question is how to do the corners. So that's a 2000 pad. It's just a mess, a messy area.
Far from mirror finish.
Yep. Totally.
Don't try this at home. Not because it's dangerous, it's useless.
It was getting close though.
Well, you know, that was smooth.
Yeah. So this is feeling very much trial and error. I don't think what we're doing was really working. It seemed promising briefly. So it is sounding like after 240 grit sandpaper, we might need to go to this manual. I don't want to. It's going to take a long time. So it's been raining quite a bit off and on today, but I don't know when it's going to start raining again. I'm going to carry on sanding a bit. And now Hayden's loaned me his other sander, which you can just plug into the power instead of needing to use batteries. So no excuses if it runs out of batteries. So the caravan's parked under a prairie tree, so flowers are falling on the roof. It's just kind of pretty, really. So I've finished 240 grit sandpaper on this one side. I'm really keen now to try out the 400 grit. We don't have the proper circles. It's just really hard to get all the different types of grit sandpaper in New Zealand. It's kind of pre-planning, I think, is involved. But I could start on just the hand sander around the edges just to see what it's like. Otherwise, Super Cheap Auto seems to sell the 380, I think, grit sandpaper. That might be worth getting. So I just popped to Super Cheap Auto to get my 340 grit fine sandpaper, and then got very excited to see that they actually supply the higher grit. So I've got an 800 grit, just because I was looking on YouTube videos on other people shining up aluminium, and he did a 400, then an 800, and then polished. So I thought I'd do the 800, then try out the 2000. I don't know if I have to go higher really, but we'll just see. So, straight into it then. Oh, there was suddenly the most impressive rolling thunder right at the end there. So, holding electrical items standing on a metal framing next to an aluminium caravan made me think maybe I should have a break while this thunderstorm's just passing over.